Who's not coming down the track? Who's not coming down the track? It's a Nemo Street in red and white. Nemo Street in red and white. Ain't nothing finer in the red. Ain't nothing finer in the red. When the drums are marching straight to bed. Come on, come on.
What's up, y'all? This is John and Caleb back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, you can find us on Millions and as part of the Fans First Sports Network. Tonight, we are getting back into our series of You're Either the GOAT or You're Not. This time, moving over to the defensive side of the ball, doing interior defensive linemen. I'm sure I'm missing a couple of updates here and there. But, Caleb, how have you been? What are you drinking?
Pretty good. I have had an eventful few weeks since getting back to work, and so if I just randomly stop talking and space out, it's because my brain can't handle much more thinky stuff going on at once. But I'm gonna power through. I'm heavily caffeinated, and I'm currently drinking my favorite ginger ale, Blenheim ginger ale that we only get at our fancy store here. I hadn't gone there in a long time, so I hadn't had it in a long time. So I've been stoked and saving it for tonight. So what about you?
Also super busy at work. Um, I'm interviewing somebody tomorrow night to potentially be an apprentice under me, which would be super cool because we definitely need some help. I'm doing a software demo to do new inspection software next week. We got a new set of fire pump equipment today. Um, so all big things, all cool things, but all new and stressful. And the work doesn't slow down just because I have other responsibilities to attend to. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Fun fact. But I do want to talk about a little bit of Georgia baseball going on
Yeah.
at the moment. And so Georgia is currently up 10-2 on number 4 Mississippi State in the top of the 5th inning. And it's at Mississippi State. Mississippi State's one of the most dangerous teams in the country right now. Don't let that 4 ranking compared to a 5 Georgia ranking throw you off. Going into this matchup today, I think most people across the country thought the Mississippi State was a significantly better team.
Yeah, you think about SEC baseball, you think about Mississippi State pretty much right away.
And then on top of that, the South Carolina team that fired their coach recently, got swept by Georgia last weekend. And I think their season total for attendance at home games is like 12. Um, they're currently beating number 2 Texas 6-1
Oh, snap,
in the top of the 6th.
where
So
is the game?
in South Carolina.
Okay.
Yeah. Ole Miss is currently up 6-3 on number 21 Florida. But the thing about, and I know this gets said a lot about a lot of different schools and conferences, the SEC this year is different. 18 Auburn's beaten 17 Arkansas 8-1. Unranked Vanderbilt's currently beating Texas A&M, who's ranked 20th, 9-5. Like it's just number 16 Alabama is up 10-4 on number 11 Oklahoma.
Wow.
Any given day in um in the SEC, and since we like to laugh at this team quite a bit, Michigan beat number 15 Oregon, run ruled them in a shutout 7 innings.
Mm.
So transfer portal has done what it was supposed to do, is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah. It seems like it has very much evened the playing field in multiple sports. So good for everybody who's been able to take advantage of that. I'm just glad. Part of me is not glad because Georgia would have benefited massively from this. But imagine a transfer portal like free for all window like this, but without legal NIL and people just handing McDonald's bags to players to get them to transfer.
That would have been wild. But
Yeah.
at the same time, if we're talking Kirby Smart era Georgia, I think Georgia three-peats. If
Oh yeah.
if we're being honest, uh, yeah, like I think Georgia's already the dynasty of the decade.
Yeah.
If
Look,
if that
look,
was
we
Kirby
will.
Smart era.
Yeah, look, we will personally send a Lamborghini to pick you up and let you come down here in it. And if the Lamborghini disappears and we don't see it again,
Yeah, is
it
what it
is what it
is.
is.
It just happens to be that Jake Fromm owns the insurance company that insured it and is going to replace it. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Golly. That's exactly what would happen, wouldn't it?
Um, what are we even talking about tonight?
You're either the GOAT or you're not. We're gonna figure out who the greatest interior
Right.
defensive lineman of all time is at the University of Georgia, and that's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And once again, you've kind of taken the reins on this one. So I will let you go for it. I have kind of just glazed over, not glazed, gazed,
Grazed.
grazed. That's it. Words are hard.
Yeah.
Um, I've grazed over the outline, not really read a whole lot. Um,
Yeah, I know
so
you like to go in spoiler free so you can
I
make a
do.
decision. I will say this one in particular is hard just because like there are stats for these guys, and I'm going to talk about the stats and accomplishments for these guys, but you don't really think about the stats when you think about interior defensive linemen and what makes them great. So it'll be interesting to see where this discussion goes. I've got my own opinions, but I'm curious to see your thoughts. Uh,
Is Trenton Thompson on the list? Former number one overall recruit.
he's not. Um, there was, I will say before I get into this, like, there's not, there are so I do a lot of my research for these by when I'm just starting out and picking names by going to websites like Ranker and just finding like what's the online consensus for this and breaking that down. And there are some defensive lineman ones, but there aren't specifically interior defensive lineman ones. And so I had to kind of sort and filter things out and kind of go through. And really, a lot of this is just from my own memory, but I figured, that's probably fine because if I don't remember you, you're probably not going to be in the top five here anyway. But I may have omitted some very important people throughout the history of Georgia football, and I apologize if I've done that. I am going from memory with this one, but I feel like I've got a pretty solid few names here that
Yeah,
we should be just fine debating between.
and I will say we did have a rule when we talked about this of no pass rushers, like no specific pass rushers. So
Mhm.
no 4-3 defensive ends, but yes to 3-4 defensive ends. Um,
Yeah,
so like
because
David Pollock and Jarvis Jones not in here. Uh,
yeah,
because I mean Jarvis Jones outside linebacker, hybrid defensive end, really depended on the play there. He was versatile enough that he played a little bit of both.
hmm
But that's kind of beside the point. Like no David Pollock, but yes to Trayvon Walker.
yeah,
Kind of.
who may or may not be in this top five because despite his position now as an edge, Trayvon Walker started 15 games on the interior for Georgia.
Correct. And it was more of what he was asked to do makes him a defensive lineman versus an edge rusher at Georgia.
Yeah,
Because he, outside of his freshman season where he was a pass rush specialist, he just he just went in and stopped the run, down in, down
yeah,
out, held the edge, turned the running plays back in, stopped the run.
yeah.
He was elite.
Yeah. So as always, I've got a few honorable mentions I'll bring up, and then we got five names that we're going to talk about for this list. So some honorable mentions: Marcus Stroud. He was all SEC, but he got overshadowed by someone else on this list. So he was another first round draft pick for Georgia too. If we talk about it later, there were four first round draft picks on the defensive line of this team that he was part of. So he got overshadowed by somebody else. This one's more of a personal one. Got to shout out Bill Goldberg,
Oh, absolutely.
who was also all SEC. Really, what he did after football is really what I know him the best for. Uh, as a big wrestling fan, and I'm sure the other wrestling fans who listen to this podcast might will appreciate him being included. I need to see how Elijah Holyfield's wrestling career is doing, because he got started.
He's on
I wonder.
NXT. Is that a thing?
NXT is in fact a thing. He was on this LFG show that was kind of just like getting rookies going, and
Okay.
it looks like as of now he's in Evolve, so that's just below NXT, but still under the WWE umbrella. So good for him.
Does the WWE just own trademarks for every different version of a three-letter acronym?
I guess so. Evolve used to be an independent promotion, and then that independent promotion started working with WWE, and then WWE just said you're ours now.
Well, I mean, didn't they used to have is the ECW was that a
So NXT actually replaced ECW, but they used to own, yeah, ECW was another one that was an indie in Philadelphia, and just got really really popular and then got bought.
and obviously Raw, but
Hmm.
RAW is still a three-letter combination.
Yeah, even if it doesn't actually stand for anything. All right, and then lastly on the honorable mentions, Bill Stanfill, who had a really amazing career and a really great NFL career, which would have been enough to get him on this list proper if it weren't for the era he was in. We just don't have a ton of stats and highlights available from the late '60s. Otherwise, I would have thrown him in there. But the only stat I could find recorded for him was that he got an interception at some point.
Heck yeah.
So
Question, because like I said, I haven't really looked at the list in depth. Is Devontae Wyatt in the top five?
he is not, and I meant to add him as an honorable mention. And again, another guy who, if it weren't for the people around him, if it weren't for the fact that there are three other people from his team on this list that we're talking about,
Right.
he probably would have been here.
Yeah.
Um,
Had Devontae Wyatt been 2 years older, he would have completely dominated everything
mhm,
about the team that he was on. But
yeah,
the third best guy on that defensive line was still a first round draft pick.
yeah, crazy, crazy the time we lived in. All right, speaking of that defensive line, let's start with Jordan Davis, who was there from 2018 to 2021, famously stayed his senior year so he could win a national championship ring along with a few other guys. Finished his career at Georgia with 91 total tackles, 12 tackles for loss, 7 sacks. Again, sacks aren't necessarily an interior defensive lineman stat, but we're still going to look at it.
And
He
for
was,
a guy to be his size and chase people down like he did,
oh yeah. How many of his tackles for loss were just him getting into the backfield and chasing somebody who was running out to the side?
how many of his tackles were chasing down a quarterback who's already past the line of scrimmage
Eh,
and then
Right.
tries to make a cut and just get 360 pounds running at 18 miles an hour to their back?
Yeah, which you can thank Tua Tagovailoa for and Joe Burrow for the fact that that archetype exists at Georgia because Kirby Smart was never going to let that happen again. So Davis was an All-American in 2021, won the Outland Trophy and the Bednarik Award in 2021. Of course, was a first-round draft pick. Won a national championships, won a Super Bowl. Um, But when I think of Jordan Davis, it's not a defensive play that comes to mind first. It is the touchdown he scored against Charleston Southern, followed by him getting up and conducting the band after the game. And it was really that personality of his that got the fans so behind him that they almost succeeded in getting a movement together to get him to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony.
Yeah, is it in your stats and where he finished for the Heisman Trophy voting?
I don't have it. Off the top of my head, I think it was like seventh. I mean, it was something crazy for a lineman of his stature.
So ninth,
Ninth. Okay. Still,
just between Desmond Ritter and Brees Hall.
yeah, not bad company there for that season.
And it is a little overshadowed for Aiden Hutchinson to technically be a defensive lineman and come in second that year, but Aiden Hutchinson was not a
If the Heisman Trophy voting happened after the first round of the college football playoff, he would not have gone to New York because A couple of our guys made him look silly.
But also, he's a defensive lineman in the same way that David Pollock was a defensive lineman.
Right. Exactly.
And that's not taking anything away from either of those guys, but the fact that there's like roster and stat wise, the fact that there's like two positions that they give guys that have a hand in the dirt on the defensive side of the ball, it's kind of stupid. Like they're either defensive linemen or edge rushers as far as the NFL goes now, and it's not true.
Right. Yeah. So, any other Jordan Davis moments before we move on to the next that stick out?
Yes, there's two, and really neither of those are football related. Actually, so we went to the Charleston Southern game that year.
Okay.
Specifically because we knew they were going to do something cool for Jordan Davis. Like that's a lot of driving to go watch Georgia demolish Charleston Southern.
Right.
But we knew they were going to do something cool for him. Also, well, I guess there's three, and I don't remember the second one. Damn, I am not. My brain is on vacation. Second, during the 2021 national championship game, when Georgia was down, I wore the same jersey for the next two seasons because halftime of the national championship game, I changed into the brand new Jordan Davis jersey that I got that day, and they did not lose another game for almost 2 years.
Yeah, something to be said about that. It's that Jordan Davis magic.
Oh, also, the man's got a beautiful singing voice. Go back and listen to that Christmas album.
Oh gosh, yeah. He stole the show on that thing.
None of that is really football related, but that's
just the personality he had, and that's definitely worth talking about.
Absolutely.
All right, let's move on to a guy who often was sharing the field with Jordan Davis, that being absolute menace freak Jalen Carter, who played from
Missouri offensive line should be in jail for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So he was there 2020 to 2022, missed a little bit of time, 83 total tackles, 18 and a half tackles for loss, and 6 sacks of his own. He was also a one-time All-American, 2-time All-SEC, another first-round draft pick. Repeating myself a lot with these Georgia defensive linemen, but he's a first-round draft pick, 2-time Pro Bowler already in his NFL career, 2-time national champion, of course, Super Bowl champion, and also biological father of one Jaden Daniels.
I was about to say, the perpetrator of one of the most disrespectful and iconic moments of the 21st century of Southeastern Conference football.
Yeah, that clip is going to be associated with Georgia and SEC football forever. And Jaden Daniels will have to live with the knowledge that he may have a Heisman Trophy, but his highlight reels are always going to include him being lifted up Dirty Dancing style by another human being on the football field.
One-handed.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels is not a small person.
Like amazing. Like the next year he won a Heisman Trophy after he got so thoroughly embarrassed and then showed up by Garrett Nussmeier of all people.
That is true.
Like,
I will say,
what a comeback.
I don't know if this is pro Jalen Carter or pro Jordan Davis, but allegedly having Jordan Davis on the team is the biggest reason that the Eagles drafted Jalen Carter, because they knew that Jalen listened to and looked up to Jordan Davis.
Yeah, so valid. Really speaks highly of both of them that they have that kind of rapport with each other. I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to space out sometimes tonight. Yep. Don't worry about it.
Yep. No, this is I think between the two of us, we have 3 functioning brain cells, and we keep we're both of us are sitting on one, and we're just tossing it back and forth.
Right. So yeah, I mean, Jalen Carter, there's what else can you say about him? Dude was an absolute freak, havoc maker in the backfield. Felt like he was causing offensive line issues on every play. Double team the guy all you want to. You can't stop him. He's going to
Unless
make your one
you
guy knock into the other guy and completely disrupt the flow of your whole play.
Missouri's the only team that stopped him, and that was because they
Yeah.
tried to tear his ACL.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Which I mean, in fairness, that is the only way that you could stop Jalen Carter.
Fair, yeah, that's a good
So
point.
there's a reason he's already been to the Pro Bowl twice in the NFL since he's got there. He wasn't no big fish in a small pond.
The man almost intercepted a spike pass or
Yeah,
a spike in the NFL.
yeah. That's the kind of freak athlete he is, and the kind of the knowledge he has. Okay, they're spiking the ball. Let me see if I can get under the center's legs enough to catch this ball.
Crazy.
Wild, wild. All right, well, I want to take you back now to a different time. A time when Georgia wasn't regularly in the hunt for a national championship, a time when Georgia had been in a pretty long drought, even from winning the SEC, a time before Kirby Smart, a time before Mark Richt. Welcome to the Jim Donnan era as I talk about Mr. Richard Seymour.
Who,
Uh,
before the most recent crop of Georgia defensive linemen, was widely and pretty easily considered the GOAT.
yeah, for sure. So we have to talk about him. Man, got an astonishing 223 total tackles in his career at Georgia. 9.5 sacks, 25.5 tackles for loss, and 35 pressures, which is a stat I somehow couldn't find for anyone else on this list.
Oh, it's almost impossible to find that stat unless somebody has it on a website. So, a little inside the park baseball here. We don't have a Pro Football Focus, like we don't have one of their paid accounts,
Hmm.
but that's the only way you can get a lot of the stats that other podcasts talk about, like quarterback hurries, quarterback pressures, accuracy while being like completion percentage while being pressured, that sort of thing. Pro Football Focus is the only place you can find it. And
Mm-hmm.
look, y'all have not shared the show enough for us to get another subscription to put the podcast out. So
Yeah.
we don't
So,
have it yet.
yeah, y'all start stepping your game up. So yeah, anyway, more Richard Seymour information. First team All-American one time, two-time All-SEC, another first-round draft pick from this crop, seven-time Pro Bowler,
Crazy.
which is, yeah, absolutely crazy. Three-time Super Bowl champion. He was with the Patriots, so that's kind of a cheat code being with the Patriots in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Um, again, I mentioned this earlier. The defensive line he was part of at Georgia had four first-round draft picks on it. And so the fact that the
Insane.
teams he was on averaged a 9-3 record is exactly why Jim Donnan was fired.
Yeah, fair. Fair.
But again, just another insane athlete who felt like he was in the backfield every play, causing problems for somebody.
Yeah,
You know,
it's one of those guys that I wish there was a more reason to go back and watch those games.
yeah. If he had been on a better team, everyone would know his name. I mean, every Georgia fan knows his name. But if he'd been on a better team, like he would be a legend in college football right now.
He's one of those guys that if you ask an NFL fan where he went to college, they would have no clue
Mm-hmm.
because how much of a difference there was between the teams he was on in college and what they achieved and the teams he was on in the NFL and what they achieved.
Another one of those guys, speaking of which, um, who was on a team who I wish was better, Geno Atkins,
Who
who
was
was
one
at,
of my favorite Georgia players ever for a long
yeah,
time.
me too, honestly. Loved this guy. 2006 to 2009, beast of the defensive line at that time, like, especially compared to everybody else on these defenses. Not that Georgia had bad defenses in the Mark Richt era by any stretch of the imagination, although this was peak Willie Martinez. But he was just a freak compared to everybody else on the roster.
Yeah.
120 total tackles, 35 and a half tackles for loss, 11 sacks, a forced fumble. Two-time All SEC. Somehow, the moron GMs in the NFL let this guy fall all the way to the fourth round. The
Insane.
dude ended up making 8 Pro Bowls. He only missed 3 Pro Bowls his entire career once he got to the NFL. That's how much of a generational athlete this guy was at defensive line. It's again, anytime you're watching a play on defense for Georgia during this era, and somebody makes a big tackle, it's probably Geno Atkins.
For sure. And so I had to look up his stats for the NFL while you were talking, and the last time this man played a football game was in 2020. It's not even that long ago. It's 2020.
Yeah,
But
I saw that
also
too.
NFL 2010's All-Decade Team. Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah,
75 and a half career sacks in the NFL, 1 defensive touchdown, 2 fumble recoveries. Like, animal.
absolute animal.
It,
And
it,
he was an
not
animal
enough
at
can be
Georgia
said.
too, just was not given enough attention.
Let's put it like this. Bengals fans would do some very dirty things to have him back on this team, given what they lost this year.
Facts. All right, if there's nothing else to say about old Geno, again, just that 2007, 2008, one of those teams should have been so much better than it was.
They both should have.
Yeah, genuinely.
It's one of those things that, like we talked about with one of the more recent teams, especially 2024, when you have all of the talent, there's two possibilities on why they don't perform that well. One is coaching,
Mm-hmm.
which for 2007 is definitely a possibility. Um, and then two is a lack of leadership. And a lack of leadership for 2007, I think, comes down to having a young quarterback who enjoyed keg stands a little bit
Mm-hmm.
too much. And, you know, Matthew Stafford could have ended the jokes, but wasn't meant to be.
You are completely correct about all that. All right. Uh, Back to the teams that won national championships. Let's talk about Trayvon Walker, who you mentioned by name earlier. As a guy who did not light up the stat sheet at Georgia, but was always a havoc player. 65 total tackles, 12 and a half tackles for loss, 9.5 sacks. Big part of that national championship team in 21. Number 1 draft pick, so obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars saw what he could do, and that was good enough for them. Just how many freak athletes were on that team? I keep throwing that word around, but it's true for all of these guys.
The answer is one more.
Yeah,
Just always one more.
always one more.
Um, Before you get into like any of the stuff about Trayvon, I will say my absolute favorite moment of watching him play football at Georgia. 2019 against Auburn, freshman Bo Nix, arguably the second best season of his entire college career was when he was a true freshman. Um, Taking Georgia down to the wire at Auburn, and true freshman Trayvon Walker just breaks through the line, and his Bo Nix is doing what he always did that year and escapes the pocket too early and just tracks Bo Nix down to end the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I know it was way early in his career. My favorite play of his Georgia career.
It's one of mine too, and again, it goes to show you how selfless of a player that he was. That's the play that we look at, because again, he's one of those guys very similar to a Jordan Davis. He's opening up the pit for other players to get involved. He's playing his role and making the whole play happen, even if he's not the one recording the stat. Which I think that is a big thing that the Jaguars and other NFL guys noticed, and that's a big part of why he got picked number 1 overall, because he's just got that ability to know what's best for the play, even if it's not going to be best for his individual stat line.
Yeah, and the only time he was an all SEC player was 2019 as a freshman all SEC player.
Hmm.
Like that's what pre NIL players did at Georgia. They sat, they waited, they did their job, they went in the first round.
Yep. To the point where, and I don't know that Trayvon Walker was this guy because I don't remember that draft well enough, but I've seen time and time again where a Georgia player will get picked up in the first round and somebody will be like, I don't even know that dude's name. Why is he getting picked? And then he shows very quickly once he gets to the league
Uh-huh.
and has a chance to do things himself, just exactly
Devontae
what he.
Wyatt when he's been
Yes,
healthy.
exactly. Yeah, he was one of those like, well, the other guys were all better. Why'd you pick him in the first round? He's doing all right.
Because they all every player on that defensive line that was drafted did a very different thing on that defensive line. Jordan Davis ate up 2 blocks at the same time. Jalen Carter was able to get pressure through the interior of the offensive line. Devontae Wyatt, you're not running the football on his half of the defensive line. It's not happening. Sorry, try again later. Period. And then Trayvon Walker would seal the other side, and then don't hold that ball too long because he will swim move your left tackle into oblivion
Hmm.
and come face to face with him. So
Yeah.
just all different specialties.
Yes. All right. So, having gone through the five, do you want to give your own thoughts first? Do you want me to give my thoughts? How do we want to do it this week?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Um, Selfishly, personally, I am gonna go with Jordan Davis, and I've already said it. Uh, I've got his jersey. I've already said that he had a few of my favorite moments as a Georgia player of just all time. But between his personality, his willingness to do whatever it takes to be an asset to the team that he's on in college, we saw it. Of he was a big boy, but got better at conditioning without losing weight because Georgia needed that anchor on the defensive line. He goes to the NFL. He realizes he's not that big of an asset to his team. So what does he do? He loses 40 pounds in one offseason and becomes one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL. As a person, phenomenal.
Hmm.
Like nobody I've ever heard that has met him has a negative thing to say about him, and including Kirby, which I while that this just came up this week, I saw a video of Kirby Smart talking about how Jordan and Devontae were working out in the offseason at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And after they did some sprints on the field, they decided to take the golf cart out for a spin in the indoor facility.
Mm.
And because somebody forgot the keys in the golf cart, which they don't normally do. And they're doing donuts on the practice field in the indoor and flip it. And with 700 pounds on this golf cart, the axle just snaps in half
Oh my gosh.
while they're flipping this
I
golf
got
cart.
this story.
And Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt, instead of like instead of doing anything else, they pick it up. They pick up a broken golf cart and carry it back to where it was and put it down. Just insane human being as far as strength. And you know, he did offer to pay for the new axle on the golf cart when Kirby confronted him about it. So there's that. But I don't think there's a negative thing you can say about him. And he's one of those guys that made an instant difference on the field from the moment he got to Georgia. I remember asking him when he was a true freshman, coming in as a 3 star from the Glory UGA podcast. They do a mailbag episode. And at one point, I said, why is Jordan Davis not getting more playing time? Because nobody can run the football when he's in there.
Hmm.
And he just proceeded to get better and better and better over time and was a part of arguably the greatest defense in the history of college football. And I think him being one of the most integral pieces on that defensive front is kind of what pushes it over the edge for me.
I can't really argue with you. I have a different take, but I can't argue with you because I
Okay.
think both of our answers are going to be extremely valid here. Um, and my opinion on this, I think, is going to be slanted a bit by what we've come to expect from the interior linemen. I've used the word havoc a lot when talking about these guys, and that's anytime we start thinking about what do we want from a Georgia defensive lineman, what makes a Georgia defensive lineman special. We want them making havoc up front for the offense because that opens up opportunities for the rest of the defense. To me, there has never been a better creator of havoc at the University of Georgia than Jalen Carter.
It's fair.
I know a lot of people love Richard Seymour too, and a lot of people love Jordan Davis. I love Richard Seymour and Jordan Davis too. But one thing both of those guys had, and it's not a knock on these guys because they're both extremely talented, but Richard Seymour was doing it with 4 other first-round draft picks around him. Jordan Davis always had multiple first-round draft picks around him, and he was doing the things he was doing. And, he probably would have done those things without him. But by the time we got to 2022, Jalen Carter did not have Jordan Davis and Devontae Wyatt and Trayvon Walker and Nakobe Dean around him anymore. No disrespect to freshman Michael Williams or Bear Alexander or Warren Brinson, but
We can
we could
disrespect
disrespect
Bear Alexander a little bit.
Yeah,
Just
a little bit. The other guys I don't mean any disrespect towards, but they were not the guys on that 2021 roster, and Jalen Carter still was shoving guys around like crazy in 2022. He still brought it. And so to me, the solo ability to push guys around and make plays happen when the other guys around him may not have been able to do so is what makes me give the edge to Jalen Carter as being the GOAT. But really, this was a tough one for me to decide, and that's what I'm basing it on just because all of these guys are so stinking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think everybody except Geno Atkins that I listed here was a first-round draft pick, and Geno Atkins should have been.
Yeah, his career showed why he should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, but
No, and ironically, of the guys that made the finalist list, I think Geno's the only guy without a ring in the NFL, and that's just because
he played for the pre-Joe Burrow Bengals.
He was too loyal to the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
So, hate it for you, Geno. You should have left.
Yeah, for sure.
Who wants to be in Ohio, of all places? Like, come on.
Yeah, Ohio? You
He
chose
probably
this?
lived in Kentucky and just drove into Ohio for work.
I mean, that's the only way that Ohio becomes bearable, so probably.
All right, that is going to do it for this episode of the Nothing Finder podcast. I had something to say. I don't have a clue what it was, but follow us on social media at Nothing Not Finder Pod on Instagram, at FinderPod on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Just look us up. You will find us there. I'm sure I'm forgetting something.
Best we are the best podcast in Savannah officially.
Correct.
Once again. So
Correct.
thank you for that.
Yes. Boy, we are not showing it tonight.
Brains are on autopilot right now, and the chip is malfunctioning.
I was about to say I got the autopilot that Amelia Earhart had. But my brain is going down over the Pacific at the moment, currently. But as always, y'all remember there is nothing finer in the land
And a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan. Somehow